Butterflies fill my spine, I feel myself getting hot again. Nerves rushing through my brain, yeah, they can't hear fire from the trees. You're standing by his side, red drops burning down your face. You're real close now, baby. Holy fuck, I feel it with you. I lose self-control. Now I found that you're not one to hear me now. You got me on my knees begging for your lady. And like a fool to stand around and let you blame me. And I'm riding in the sky to the heavens like an
Hi, my name is Leo Connors, and welcome to The Ring and All Other Sports. Tonight, I got a special guest, the Kingpin, the Brawler, Brian Milonas.
What's up, Leo?
How are you?
I'm great, hanging in there. I think this is the first wrestling, aside from training people, this might be the first wrestling related thing I've done in since February. So
Wow.
yeah, it's been a little bit.
Yeah. All right. Well, first thing I want to talk to you about is I saw a post on Facebook that you made, and your son, Michael, who's 8 years old,
Yeah.
got to play with the big kids, the 11 and 12-year-olds.
Yeah.
And then I watched the video, and he hit a home run at 8 years old. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, he's oh my God, he loves baseball so much.
That's good.
He lives for it. Not last season, I think it was the 2022 season, brought him to his first game, and that just
Yeah.
exploded from there. But yeah, he plays in AAA, I think they call it, and he's done really well. He made the All-Star team 2 years. He does. He works at it so much. So we got a call kind of in the morning. The league had to approve it because he's only 8.
Right.
So then we got him. We had to get him home. Because normally he stays later.
Right.
For daycare and stuff, and we got him, on the bus early. So my wife tells him, hey, they need a player for the majors tonight. You're going to go up and play with the majors. And, Michael's just such a joyful kid. He was like, yes, yes, yes. And he goes, it's my time to shine.
Yes.
So, yeah, first couple of bats, struck out, getting used to it,
Yep.
playing against the older kids. And finally his last at bat just connected, and it went over the fence. And the funny thing is, if you've seen the after picture, Michael is he's very confident in his abilities.
Yeah.
So last year he was convinced he was going to put one out at 7. I'm like,
Right.
buddy, I'm thinking maybe 10, 11,
Right,
12,
right.
maybe you'll pop one out. No, he did it this year at 8. So I had to give him $100. I was a man of my word.
Yep.
I came through, and I even found out from a good friend, Big Mark Green.
Yeah.
His boy hit one at 9. Michael got one at 8.
Nice.
So he was
Jackson.
yeah, but it was awesome. Big Mark Green sent me a nice text and said, "Hey, welcome to the
That's
the
awesome.
Home Run Dad Club," and that was
Yeah.
an awesome, proud moment. And
Jackson's a really good baseball player,
I love
man.
it. I love that they share those
Yeah.
videos and stuff, because I was gonna say I've known Jackson since he's been this, but
Right.
he was always a big kid.
Yeah, he is.
But it's so funny to see him now growing up and playing. I think he must be in high school now.
Oh, yeah, he's definitely in high
He's
school.
a great basketball player, baseball player. So it's very cool to have to have that connection too of
Right.
both of our sons now are
Yeah.
they're doing things in sports. Very cool.
Very cool. I had to bring that up.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Michael's going to love this, by the way. He's going to watch this.
Awesome.
And he's going to love it. That he came up and was the leading subject.
Yes, he was. He earned it. You earned it, Michael. Well, listen, I first saw you at NEWA show.
Yeah.
Where you started feuding with Billy Kryptonite.
Yeah.
Were you surprised by the way his team with Tank Tolan as the Dicks imploded? I mean, they broke up after Tank beat him up.
Not in the slightest. Billy Kryptonite, always an interesting character.
Right.
I remember like the night he won the Chaotic title, and I'm very new at this point. I think I was in a battle royal.
Okay.
So I wasn't even part of like the regular, I wasn't getting booked regularly yet. But we had been, we trained together and, obviously knew each other. He cornered me in the locker room and made me repeat like positive affirmations with him. And it was just like
that night, like
the night he won the Chaotic title, which I think was like at some hotel in Tewksbury. And I was just like, I'm looking at people trying to make that eye contact, like, come on, somebody help me.
Right.
And nobody helped me. It must have been an hour. It felt like 3 days, but it must have been an hour. But he is, I wasn't surprised at all. I think Chad was always very good to me, but at the same time, was very self-destructive with his career. And somebody who sometimes people lose sight of the fact, I don't want to use the F word, fake word or whatever, but this is show business. This is predetermined. This is, and sometimes people can't separate reality from fiction. And, so he was.
I mean, he definitely was talented.
There's people I'm sad that I've lost contact with. I would say, Chad probably not one of them.
Right.
Good luck to him. No ill will. But I'm all set with the phone calls.
Well, I think with the next question, we're going to have a repeat.
Oh, boy.
On December 10th, 2004 at the PAV, which in my opinion was one of the best places for wrestling.
Great venue.
In Lowell.
Yeah.
You wrestled Brian Black and Fred Sampson with Arch Kincaid as your partner.
Yeah.
Thoughts on teaming with Arch? Now, last time you were on the show, you said you guys weren't the best of friends.
No, not at all. I'll just be honest. I thought he sucked. He worked hard, but did not enjoy working with him, didn't enjoy teaming with him, and I didn't enjoy training with him.
Right.
I had a very sort of auspicious start. I think people who know me, probably heard me tell the story, but I was not in a good headspace. I was not prepared to work hard. I had a very bad mentality. And there are people who, to this day, I'm always thankful for. I think of Aaron Stevens, and I think of John Walters, who kind of like they helped me. They told me like, hey, you're messing up, you're blowing this, but they also tried to help me. Vince Vicalo, another one. Arch, I just thought was just a mean-spirited guy.
Right.
He really, even after I had started to turn it around and I was working shows, and it was just like, didn't feel like he ever would treat me as his equal. He kind of, poked fun at me.
Right.
We took a road trip one time, which is probably the worst road trip I've ever had in my life, just because it was, uncomfortable.
Right.
He went out of his way to, I think, make me feel bad about myself, and I just don't have respect for people who operate like that. Not one of my favorite inside or out of the ring. Look, he did a lot for the skills that he had.
Right.
Obviously, give credit where credit's due. Arch Kincaid was a phenomenal character.
Yes.
Phenomenal on the microphone. Could pull you in. Knew how to entertain an audience. But then the bell has to ring at some point.
Right.
So, and then just outside of it, I just thought he was a jerk.
Yeah. All right. So let's go into some fan questions. Anthony Mark Balkus?
I do know Anthony. Anthony used to train.
Oh, yeah?
Chaotic.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, way back in the day.
Anthony, you never told me that.
Yeah, he trained back in the day
Such
with
a
us.
good kid.
I mean, you're talking
good dad, too.
Yeah, I like Anthony. Yeah, I've literally known him for, however long I've been in the business, 23 years.
Wow.
But yeah, he came and trained with us for a little bit. I'm surprised he doesn't tell people about that.
Yeah, I'm surprised he doesn't.
His kids are getting big, too.
Yes, they are. All right. He wants to know, who's your top 5 opponents in New England?
Oh. No, they'll come up. One is, Chase Del Monte.
Yeah.
We had tons and tons of battles, inside and out of the ring. But lots of really cool fun. Those are my first real main event matches were with Chase.
Yep.
So I'll never forget that. And that was, both of us learning and trying to claw and scratch and make a name for ourselves. And it was pretty cool to, those are my first main events.
Chase is a hell of a talent.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it.
Absolutely.
No doubt.
Absolutely. A guy who probably should have gone further than he did.
Yeah.
But it was just a very different.
I don't think he ever really wanted to, I guess. I don't know, because I think him and the Logans could have did.
Well, and they're on my list too.
Yeah.
The Logans are, out of any, I think of all the people, because we always see talented people, and,
Right.
right? There's only so many spots.
Yep.
The Logan brothers, still to this day, I cannot figure out how they did not get a job,
Yeah.
go to WWE, be on TV.
Right.
I mean, they're definitely. I'm gonna cheat and use them as one because they're a tag team.
Right.
But I just had so many fun matches with them. Brian over the heavyweight titles.
Yeah.
A lot of tag stuff. I love those guys. I'm happy they're doing so well in their life now, and they are just phenomenal talents who
Absolutely.
never got their due. I mean, Brian Fury is another
Yeah.
guy that I wrestled a million times, and we
Right.
just had such good chemistry in the ring. Brian, another guy, say what you want about him or whatever,
Great
but
guy.
inside the ring,
Oh, yeah.
he was phenomenal. Alex Arion, 100% in my top 5.
Would you think he's like one of the best ever in New England? A lot of people say that. He really was phenomenal.
Right now, Al would be. I feel like I'm leaving people out. Like I'm so like.
Right.
But he's somebody when I think of like him and Louis Ortiz
yeah.
and John Walters, if they were just a little bigger,
Yep.
and the era they came up in,
Right.
they would have got signed. And right now they'd be, the current era we're in, because there's more opportunities and size isn't as big a factor as it used to be. I think they're all guys who would have been making phenomenal money at this point. And then my number 1, I got to go with old handsome Johnny Ivar. I love the guy. Truly one of my best friends I've ever made, and probably the best friend I ever made in wrestling.
Nice.
And I'm so happy for him doing so well.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's crazy. When I first came up, there was we didn't have this abundance of people who came from New England. It was like
Right.
Triple H and
Yeah.
that was it. And I just think of all the guys I've left off, Taven, Bennett, Tommaso.
All of them are incredible. Kofi.
Kofi. I mean, Kofi was around for 30 seconds.
I was going to say, yeah, he wasn't around very long.
No, he was not. I mean, rightfully so. He's right where he belongs, and he's a future WWE Hall of Famer.
Absolutely. All right. Kenny Lockhart wants to know, will you be returning to the new UFO Wrestling, now known as UWE? I didn't know that they changed the name.
I didn't know either. I've had no, so it's I don't know if Pat's still running it or not running it.
No, Pat's not running it anymore.
Okay.
That's why.
So I don't know. I mean, if they reach out when I'm ready to come
Right.
back, certainly, but I don't have any current plans. Right now, I don't even know when I'll be returning to the ring.
Okay.
It'll be some point, but
Right.
I couldn't sit here and tell you a date. I don't have anything lined up yet. I mean, the original UFO. I mean, Pat took care of me for years. Somebody
Right.
always looked out for me.
One of the best guys around, man.
I think I was the UFO champ for like a decade. I defended it like 4 times.
Right. That's all right.
I love Pat.
All right, Kevin May wants to know, ask him about starting his career and working for Tony Atlas Championship Wrestling back in the day.
Old Beavis.
I remember you telling me this in your first appearance.
Yeah. Tony really took a liking to me. So I started going up there because one of my friends who didn't really pan out in wrestling, but he's the one that kind of got me in, kid by the name of Clean, went by Rhett Coolidge, but he had a good relationship with Tony and helped me get in there and get booked. So I'd go up there. I'd do the rides with Skunk O'Malley a lot of the time.
Oh, God.
Up to like Lewiston,
God
Maine.
bless you.
And I think maybe it was it was inside my first 10 matches where I actually wrestled Tony.
Wow.
And it was like Bridgeton, Maine. I remember this so vividly. And there's so many things I don't remember.
Yeah.
But I remember this vividly. It was like a big snowstorm. We didn't even know if the show was going to be canceled. It wasn't. There's maybe 15, 20 people there. Yeah. Tony's obviously running the show. And he, all of a sudden we're about to go out. Like my music's about to hit. And he goes, "Oh, kid, we didn't talk about anything." And he just that big Tony laugh.
Yeah.
And he goes, "We'll be fine. We'll be fine." So we go out
That's
there.
awesome.
And, Tony wrestles the same match.
Right.
And he has for the entirety of my wrestling career, wrestled the same match every time. And it was a really cool moment because that was like my mom's favorite wrestler. My
Really?
mom passed when I was 16.
Wow.
So that was so cool to wrestle him, but I was scared.
Right.
Another funny Tony story was, so at that point, over the years, you've seen my weight fluctuates, not the greatest thing. But I was really big. And then I hadn't seen Tony maybe for about a little over a year, and I was much lighter.
Right.
And he looks at me and he goes, shakes his head and he goes, kid. He's like all like this. He has like that drawl, like that southern drawl, you know?
Yeah.
I think Tony's from like Virginia
Yeah,
or
he is.
something.
Yep.
Yeah. So kid, and he has like that drawl. He's like, this line is good. He probably would get canceled for it today or something, but he looks at me and goes, I liked you better when you was fatter. So yeah, Tony Atlas has actually been a very important person, especially the early part of my career, and I'm really grateful to, he's up there, with as far as, names that I've come across with. He's really up there for people who helped me out early on, and it blows my mind being a fan of this business and it's been so young. And, Tony Atlas is somebody who I've known for 20 years,
right.
So it's
That's
wild.
crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Tony's a funny guy.
Yes, he is a good guy, though. All right, Jeff. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I'm going to try it. Jeff Chiruniak. Sorry, Jeff. If I got it wrong, I get a lot of names wrong. And I know you told us this on the first time you were on the show, but he said, please have him tell the story of Cena McMahon Indy show. I was there, and it still gives me goosebumps.
Yeah, I mean, it's the wildest thing I think I've ever been a part of. Long story short, Chaotic, John Cena's dad, John Cena Sr., great guy, love Johnny Fabulous. He and Chaotic worked together to put on a show. And I'll throw some shade on my boy Ivar, because the original main event was supposed to be Ivar and Rick Fuller with Cena as the ref.
Right.
He wanted to work with Eugene. So he pulled his strings.
Yeah.
He played that political game. He got to wrestle Eugene, and the main event became me and Rick Fuller for the Chaotic title. The part of the story that's always important to tell, and it didn't dawn on me in the moment, was Cena put together the end of the match like very meticulously. Now, in my mind at that point, I was like, okay, I was like 6-7 years in, so I was, green, but I had an idea what I was doing. And he laid it out, and I just thought, okay, he's a WWE champ, like he just wants to make sure this is, he's not going to get hurt, and then we do. I don't even remember what the rest of the whole match was.
Yeah.
I have absolutely no idea. And I was double down, and I see Johnny Fabulous kissed my manager. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, somebody,
was that Sherry?
Yeah. Sherry Payne.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I see somebody get in the ring, and I don't at that point I don't know what the hell's going on. I don't know if it's Fabulous getting back in the ring, because I love Johnny Fabulous, but he would do stuff, you know, kind of on a whim if he thought it would get over. But I turn around and it's Vince McMahon, and I'm just like, you can see it on my face. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Like,
that's amazing.
Like, am I out cold? Am I in a coma?
Am I
like,
dreaming?
What is this? Yeah, is this a fever dream? So he comes over and he's like, are you the baby face or the heel? So I go, I'm the heel. So he grabs my arm, raises it, and I go, well, what's next? He goes, slapping Cena, I'm taking the FU, and I'm getting out of here. So I let them do their thing, and you can see Cena calling me, FU, FU, FU. So I throw it, he gives me that. I just rolled out, and I grabbed Cherry Payne. I was just like, that was this is before I had kids, by the way.
Right.
I want to preface this. Before I had kids, before I was married. So up until that point, it was like, oh, that is the greatest moment.
Yeah.
I said to her, this is the greatest bleeping moment of my life.
How could it not be, though, honestly?
And it still comes up. I mean,
Right.
I remember, one of my first Ring of Honor road trips, like people just always asking me about it or realizing it's me. I was at Jay Briscoe's funeral. And they had like the mercy meal afterwards, and we're at that. And I'd never met Jimmy Jacobs ever in my life. And so, introduced myself very, very politely. And he looks at me, he goes, what's your name again? I told him, he's like, I just read you're the dude who was in the ring with Vince on the indie show. So he had me tell the story to him there. So it just, it always comes up because it's, it doesn't sound real. Yeah. Like I've had people call me out of like, oh, the it's Photoshop, this and that. Right. I'm like, believe me, it sounds made up. But it's the truth.
Right. So do you think Cena, obviously Cena knew he was there and was going to be there, so that's why he wanted to set up the...
Yeah, so Cena knew,
Right.
Johnny Fabulous knew,
Yeah.
and then the owner of Chaotic,
Right.
at the time, Jamie
Ivar definitely didn't know.
No, he did not.
He
No.
might not have wanted to switch.
No, there's 3. As far as I know, there was 3 people who knew, and that was leading up to that was Jamie, Jen Makowski, Johnny Fabulous,
I'm
and
just
John
pissed
Cena.
I wasn't there. And I went to a lot of shows at the PAV
Yeah,
too.
how'd you not go to that
I
one?
know. Killing me. All right. Jerry Lane, who are some of the students you've trained at Beyond? Or are there anyone on the indies that you think have it? It kind of goes in hand. I wanted to talk to you about. You wrestled a lot of newer guys recently.
Yeah.
Well, you wrestled Jermaine Marbury.
Mm-hmm.
Did you wrestle Brad Bailey yet?
No, I have. No, we did like a thing. We did like a segment or something.
Okay.
In WFA.
But there's some really, really good talents out there.
Yeah.
Morta. You
Yeah.
teamed with Morta quite a bit.
Yeah.
So is there anybody that you think special right now that you're training?
Yeah. So I think right now we got 3 real standouts. So I'm one of the head trainers at the Beyond Institute of Professional Wrestling in Worcester, and the 3 real, I think the real standouts that we have right now is a kid that's calling himself Metro. He's out right now, but hard worker. I think he's got a ton of potential. Jake Drager.
Okay.
He's another. I mean, the common theme with these 3 is their work ethic.
Right.
So he was a guy who came in, maybe not in the best shape, not like me, but just not in the best shape and stuff. And he is just dedicated to getting in shape, getting bookings, getting out there, all while having a ton of stuff going on in his personal life.
Right.
Doesn't let it stand in his way. Works incredibly hard. He's had some great matches out there already. And then the other one is the handyman, Jake Gray, who. This kid's story is phenomenal because when he signed up with us, he was just going to be a referee. Just going to be a referee. And then...
He changed his mind?
Well, because he just had he has such an aptitude for it.
Right.
And he has such a high ceiling. And I don't even think Jake realizes how high his ceiling is yet.
Okay.
He just really adapts to things, very, very naturally and has a good mind for the business. These 3 guys are, Jake is actually a kid. The other 2, I call everybody kids because I'm old now. But these guys are very hardworking, good work ethic, good students. I'm going to toot their horns for a second. If anybody out there, I can't recommend booking them enough. They have my seal of approval. They have, Thomas Santel, Antonio Thomas, his seal of approval.
I was going to ask you who also, because I thought it was Antonio.
Yeah, it's me, Antonio Thomas, and I just, it's great. I love our program. As far as the talents in New England, I mean, there's some. It's loaded right now. It's loaded up. This ID program is interesting, to say the least. But, I mean, some of my favorites, I named them the other day, but I've always been a champion for Davienne.
Yep.
We go back to Chaotic, and I just always saw a lot of myself in her as far as she's not a cookie cutter.
Right.
And that's always tough for people to get opportunities when you're not a cookie cutter. But her... Gal Barquet. I mean, he looks.
He's unbelievable. Seriously,
and he's
looks
really,
$1 million.
Yeah, and I think in the last, especially 6 months to a year, he's really just blossomed. T.J. Crawford is criminally.
Another one. Yeah.
I think he's still underrated. People love him.
Right.
I still think he's.
Oh, he's still got.
Underrated.
He is phenomenal, but you can tell he's gonna be. Really special.
TJ's going to be on TV someday.
Absolutely.
My mind, TJ's. It's only a matter of time before somebody picks him up. Channing Thomas, another guy who I'm always super impressed with. Yep. He just works hard. He works at his craft, and he's not afraid to be himself.
Right.
As far from like a wrestling style standpoint, he's not afraid to be himself and. Go out there and do what shines for him. Mortar, Ricky Smokes. I mean, there's a million of them that I've named.
Ichiban.
Ichiban. He's phenomenal. Alec Price.
Yeah.
Phenomenal performer. I had a really great match with him. It was last October, outdoor. Oh, was that cold?
Was that at Beyond?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I was in Worcester at outside at it was a Ralph's Rock Diner, and we had a great. Match for the IWTV Championship. Jermaine Marbury, another one.
He really is
loaded
impressive.
Yeah, I mean the area right now is
Yeah.
like if you're at an indie show right now, go get your autographs, get your 8x10s
Yeah.
from some of these guys because you might make a few bucks in the future.
And a guy that's still fairly young, it just came back, Brad Hollister.
Yeah.
I went to a Beyond show maybe 5 months ago, and he was on the main event. And Alec Price was on the show too, but I left that night telling my buddy Dave that Brad's ready now. Man.
Yeah.
He really is.
He gets it. He's to me, he's the guy who's, that
Yep.
locker room leader
Right.
and, the Wrestling Open locker room. I just view him in such high regard as far as like, not just a guy I really respect in the ring, but
Yep.
a guy I respect in the locker room.
Right.
We've known him since he was a kid at this point, literally a kid. Like, he was young when he started.
Right.
And just to see where he started and where he's come from, he knows how to play with that crowd. He knows how to get that heat.
Yeah.
He's good on the mic. And he just puts on incredible matches. Like him, like one of the, and it sounds like hyperbole or whatever. It sounds like I'm shilling the company line here. But him versus Ichiban for the Wrestling Open Championship.
Yeah.
The place was packed. And I don't know that I've ever seen an independent wrestling crowd reaction, emotional reaction, at an independent show. Just go out of your way to see it if you're, if you haven't. It's
So
just,
IWTV, you can watch
Yeah.
that on, guys.
yeah. But both those guys are
Yeah.
phenomenal. Ryan Clancy's another guy.
I love the way he's,
Yeah.
that's the
And
way he's just so different.
Yeah, and he's so dedicated. And it's what I love is these group of guys who are so dedicated, guys and girls, men and women who are so dedicated to their
Yep.
craft. And I think when I first saw him, he looked like this raw clay. Looked like he had potential, but
Right.
Which way is this going to go? And since that time I first saw him, not only has his in-ring gotten better, but like he's in phenomenal shape.
He is in really good shape.
Gotten himself in just absolutely
He just was
phenomenal
traveling. I think he was out in California or something like that recently. I know
Yeah,
that.
yeah, so-
Where did he train? Is he a creative pro
That-
guy? Or is he around here guy?
No, I know he's not Creative Pro. I'm actually not entirely sure where he trained.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I have no idea. Really.
Creative Pro guys, Bryce Donovan, Bobby
Yeah.
Orlando. Bobby
Yeah.
Orlando is so...
TJ Crawford.
TJ Crawford, yeah, he's another...
MJF.
yeah.
I mean,
Well,
Chris Statlander.
the entire AEW
It's
roster.
unbelievable. Seriously, though, they got a great
associated.
school. They definitely do.
They do,
Pat
yeah.
Buck.
Pat Buck is, I've known Pat Buck for a long time, and
Yeah.
he does a
Brian
great job.
Myers,
Brian
right?
Myers does
Yeah.
a great job.
Kevin Matthews, I think, is a little involved there,
Yeah.
too, I think.
Yeah. So they got a good system
Nice.
that they run down there.
Excellent. All right, so listen, I know you wrestled for Rad Pro.
Yeah.
I'm dying to go to one of their shows because I like the concept.
Yeah.
And you're known as the Pit Boss.
Yeah, well, I was part owner of Rad Pro
Oh,
initially,
okay.
and that's why I'd stepped away is because it was me and Max Smash Master who owned it, and then just hey, sometimes in business there's you gotta do the right thing, right? You gotta take a stand for what you believe in, and we just decided that business wise it
Yeah.
probably wasn't going to work out. Between us long term.
Yeah.
So, I wish them nothing but the best. I haven't watched any of the shows or anything, I'll be honest. But I think they got a great product. He's got a
Yeah.
unique concept. It's very like Chikara.
Yeah.
I think is where they draw the
Right.
inspiration from.
And he wrestled for them for quite a
yeah.
while. So.
Yeah, he did. I mean, Scott was with them for forever
Yeah.
and did a great job. Scott's a phenomenal performer.
Right.
He's so creative and the stuff he comes up with, I'm like, I mean, I don't, I think Scott's a guy who's like, he doesn't do drugs, but he books like he's on drugs, Like, I don't know if that's too edgy for national community television.
That's all right.
But he really was 100% of the creative vision when we were partners behind
Right.
it. And he knocked it out of the park.
That's awesome.
He's really knocked it out of the park with it. So again, I want them to be successful, and I want that company to go on. I know they got. I did see they got in December Forever Rad 95.
And that's in
Haverhill.
Amesbury. Oh, it's in Haverhill.
Yeah, it's in Haverhill now.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
yeah. I think they're switching operations there.
Oh, nice.
So that's going to be in Haverhill. So
Yeah.
I'd recommend everybody. If you just like good, fun,
Right.
family friendly, which not a lot of independent wrestling sometimes is not family
Exactly.
friendly. Rad Pro Wrestling is family friendly.
Yeah.
You can bring your kids to it, and you're not going to be wincing.
Right.
And they put on great matches. And the big thing with him, he's got great stories.
Right.
So every show has a thread to the next, and he just does he puts his heart and soul into it. And,
Nice.
So it's, it sucked to have to step away, but sometimes, it's like, I don't want to be the guy that holds back the company. I think the company has a lot of potential, and I think the company could be one of the top players in New England in the next, few years. And I don't ever want to be somebody that's going to hold something back.
Right. All right. So I didn't really ask the question from Jerry Lane, but like your thoughts on the WWE ID program?
Yeah, I think it's a great thing.
Yeah.
Really happy for my trainer, Mike Hollow, and a good buddy of mine, Scott Reed. They've put in the work.
Yes, they have.
And a lot of people have looked at them sideways or looked down their nose. But when it comes to that relationship with WWE, they're not going to trust anybody more than they're going to trust Mike Hollow.
Right.
Mike came up with Hunter. Mike came up with Matt Bloom. He's also trained Aaron Stevens, John Walters, Luis Ortiz, Kofi Kingston, Ivar, Tommaso,
exactly.
Biff Busick.
Yep.
So, his body of work speaks for itself. And then Scott has a lot, I know he has a lot of passion for it.
Oh, definitely.
The funny thing is I don't, I've worked more with Scott on the wrestling side than the business side, but I'm very happy with him. I think it's a good thing. We got a hub, and it makes all the sense in the world that they would choose, that school with Mike in charge, because Mike, the proof is in the pudding with Mike. He's been doing this a long time.
Sure has.
I think he is, one of the greatest trainers in the world.
Yep.
I think for anybody starting out or anybody who needs cleaning up, like my fundamentals are tattooed on my brain. The things that have helped me stand out, like my footwork.
Right.
All the little things that have got me noticed over the years is because of stuff Mike instilled in me. So, my body's a little beat up from the old training style, which thankfully I think he's amended a little bit, because in the old days it was just, he was trained this way.
Right.
And then he trained us conversely in the same way. But as we learn more about, different things, he's adapted. But we bumped a lot. Oh, did we bump a lot in training? But Mike is somebody who just the utmost respect for, very grateful, and I think they're going to churn out good things. As far as like the overall program, I think it's great.
Yeah,
but to me, I think it's anything with WWE. I think is always going to be. They're looking for what they're looking for, right?
Yeah.
Whenever it gets announced, whenever these people are ID'd or whatever, I think you're going to see a lot of 6'2", 240.
Right.
So I still think there's room for other schools. I still think there's, if you're somebody who's not cookie cutter, if you're somebody who, even if you are cookie cutter, right? Because this is, the way I understand it, and other people could explain more, I think they're looking for people who are just about ready to go to their system.
Right.
So we're fortunate right now in New England where you got a place like that.
Yeah.
You got a place like Nepois. You got a place like us at Beyond. Just some really good schools, in the area.
Right.
And a lot of them, it's the old Chaotic crew. It's Mike Hollow up in New Hampshire. It's me in Worcester. It's Chase and even down with Top Rope. It's Elia Markopoulos.
It's unreal.
So it's it feels good to know that the generation I came from and the company that I came from, our impact is now expanding. So it's great. It's really great.
Well, I wanted to bring up, I know you wrestled for Pro Wrestling Super Show's Ryan Drew, right?
Yeah.
And Teddy's is come on, I know it too.
Live
Pro Wrestling.
There we go.
Yes. But they're packing, both those companies.
Yeah.
And Top Rope even too.
Yeah.
All in one area is having a lot of people go to their shows. I went to one of Ryan's shows a few months ago, and there had to be almost 300 people in that building.
Yeah. Hustle.
Yeah, you were on the show, matter of fact.
It's all hustle. Ryan Drew is, he's a guy who, you always remember the people who really look out for you when you're not your best, or, when you need help. And Ryan Drew, has been that person. I had lost a lot of confidence after the pandemic and after losing my job with Ring of Honor. And, Ryan was somebody who still would book me.
Right.
So I was always forever grateful for that. And then I've been out since February. I kind of had I literally had like a breakdown, like a mental breakdown at his show. And, he was there,
Right.
first one there. Hey, you okay? No, you're not going out there. We got it covered.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Teddy, who sucks Ted retired, but I get it. He's got baby coming and all that good stuff.
Talented guy too.
I've known him for, in old the NEWA days.
Right.
But I think the testament to them is that they hustle, they promote their shows.
Right.
So many promoters just think like, oh, I'm gonna throw a social media post up
Right.
twice a week and the people will come. It's like, no, you got to get out there. You got to, not just the social media, but I still believe in the old school.
Oh, absolutely.
Pound the pavement.
Yep.
Get the posters up. Work with local vendors and sponsors.
Right. Lucky Pro puts up the posters all the time.
They do
all
too.
the time.
The companies that are drawing are the ones
Right.
that really, really, really hustle.
Yep.
Because you have to. You can't just rely on the internet presence. Because a lot of your target audience isn't going to be on the internet. Kids.
Right.
You think of kids, but they're watching, weird stuff on YouTube. You know what I mean? Like But if you go in a store, right, and the kid sees the poster with all these wrestlers on it. Oh, Dad, Mom, I gotta go.
I gotta go.
Yeah. So, yeah, they do a great job. They work their butts off, and that's why they draw great houses.
Nice. Awesome. All right, so listen, I know that you headlined Madison Square Garden.
I did. I
with
sold
the
it
great
out.
Muda.
Jushin Thunder Liger.
It was just, that's right.
Yeah.
It was Liger. Sorry.
Muda was in the match, but we didn't cross paths.
Oh, really? All right, but how was it working in the most famous arena, man?
So that's the one. We all of us, I think, in life, you make goals, you make promises to yourself. I had never gone before I'd gotten in the business.
Right.
And I kind of said to myself once I got in the business, I'm never going to go to Madison Square Garden until I'm booked.
Nice.
And I almost cracked, a few times of I'm never going to get there.
Right.
I didn't. So that was one thing I thought was so cool, was I actually was able to keep a promise to myself of the first time I ever stepped foot. I never went to a Knicks game, a Rangers game. I never went to a WWE event there. The first time I stepped foot in Madison Square Garden was the day I was booked there. And I went on the earliest bus. So I think I was there at 11 a.m. Maybe. And I just went and I sat and I just looked at the ceiling. And then, you see all the videos they used to take. In my mind, I see Hogan, right? That hallway where he comes around the corner and goes out. And I was searching. I was just searching the hallways for it. And then finally I found this. This guy looked like he'd probably been working there for 50 years. So I found him. I was like, hey, I said, this is, if you don't know, that's fine. This might be the stupidest question, but the hallway WWE used to always shoot. I said, and I told him in my mind, I'm picturing Hulk Hogan coming out of it and then going to the entrance. Like, where is that? And he walked me right over to it.
That's cool.
And I went to the end of the hallway and I just walked. And it was, because it's changed, I guess, since they renovated it.
Right, I'm sure.
But it's just to me, it's just so stupid and silly. And people saw me doing it. They probably thought I wasn't doing the whole entrance or whatever.
But
I just wanted to walk the hallway. I just wanted to walk it. But it was awesome. And it was, it's funny. And then at some point it snapped, it's like, okay, I'm here for business. And then I get told in the locker room doing something with Liger. So I'm like, oh, what? That blew my mind. So then I had to recompose myself again. But then at a certain point, it really just has become okay, I got to focus. I got to work. But afterwards I had to, that's when it hit me. It hit me, like a ton of bricks. I just had to kind of go take a quiet moment to reflect and very emotional, but very few times in life, right? My dream was to be a pro wrestler. I really wanted to get to WWE. I didn't get there, and that's okay.
Right.
But that's one dream I had that 100%, 100%, I wanted to wrestle at Madison Square Garden, and I got to.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Well, I talked to you off air about this, and I love this. The vignettes you and Bruiser did with Session Martina.
Yeah.
And I told my favorite one is the one at the end where you just was like, what a woman. And like I told you off air, it literally, I felt that was just as good as a WWE vignette.
Yeah.
Really.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Who produced that for the Ring of Honor?
Us. Me, Bruiser, and Sesh.
Wow.
They really had, at that point, we were kind of in a weird limbo.
Yeah.
They didn't really know what to do with us. There was kind of a switch in bookers.
Right.
We had been built up. We had been on pay-per-view. We won on pay-per-view. And in our minds, we're like, oh, man, we're going to go wrestle the Briscoes for the world tag titles.
Right.
and then just kind of, we're on pay-per-view, we win, and the next day we just do a couple of TV squash matches or whatever, and then we're kind of asking like, well, hey, what's next for us? And it really was nothing.
Right.
So at that point, I'm starting to get nervous, like, oh geez, are they even going to resign me? Which they did. But Session Moth comes in. They did a papered event in Baltimore. I don't know what they called it, free for all or something like that. But they wanted a really full building because they wanted to shop that around for a TV show.
Yep.
The Ring of Honor was trying to get on TV, and they wanted a full arena with full production. And so we're there in the afternoon. I think we were just doing a battle royal or something on that, so we didn't have a lot to do. And we were just like, Mandy Leone ran the social media, so we're like, hey, Mandy, can we snag you? Can you film us? We got an idea. So we just came up with that little idea of where she was passed out and drank all our beer, and that line at the end was just ad-libbed. I wasn't even
really.
Yeah, because we kind of, I was just, I think I said something like, maybe I'm smitten by her or something.
Yeah.
And then
You definitely were in the thing. You were definitely smitten in the video.
Yeah, those were great. I mean, and then that what a woman. Like,
that was awesome.
And then from there, like the reaction was good. So we just, every time we would just film everywhere we went, we just film a new one. And it sucks because it was building up right to the pandemic, and then we had started to gain momentum again. I mean, we were supposed to be in the Crockett Cup that year. We worked for the NWA.
Yeah,
we worked with Eli Drake, the LA Knight, and James Storm for the tag titles. Got to do stuff with with Eddie Kingston. Yeah. So it was very cool. And then so we filmed more, and then we did an in-ring segment, and it was in St. Louis, where I think she won her match, and me and Bruiser came out to celebrate, and I go to give her a hug, and she just looks at me and turns or something, gives him a hug. And I swear to you, my social media had never blown up so much. And so we get back, and Bubba Ray Dudley, who, he's a tough cookie to crack.
Right.
And he just pulled me aside and was like, that is going to be so over. That's the best thing I've seen you do the entire time you've been here. So, and that meant a lot to me because Bubba was somebody who I, a lot of respect for, looked up to, had some rough starts with him. Again, he's a very tough egg to crack. But when you crack him, you can really get good stuff, and he helped us tremendously. But yeah, those Session Moth Martina things were fun. I mean, the thing that sucks is we never got to pay it off. It was going to end in a wedding. Yeah. Like that was
Who's getting married? Bruiser?
It was going to be like Bruiser, and like almost like it's forced to kind of, and then she like during the wedding reveals like it's been me she was in love with the whole time, and I think we were gonna,
that would have been awesome.
We were gonna do the deal and get married and have a Ring of Honor wedding, but wasn't to be, sadly.
Oh, you brought up Mandy Leone, and I just got to say, I went to an ROH show in Lowell, and Chris Sullivan of Lucky Pro Wrestling comes up to me and goes, you want a picture with Mandy Leone? I looked at him, and I'm like, who doesn't? He says, turn around. So I said to Jai, I said, can we get a picture? So Jai is my grandson's walking over. So she goes, oh, you want a picture with me? He goes, no, I don't, but he does. Threw me right under the bus. Hilarious.
She is such a sweet person, and somebody.
She just had a baby.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Somebody we became very tight with, and I mean, there's so many people in Ring of Honor that were just awesome, and I miss seeing them, and
Well, you had brought up that I know you did wrestle the Briscoes.
Yeah, a number of times, like 3 or 4 times. To me, they're the best performers I've ever stepped foot in the ring with. Right. I think when you're a place like Ring of Honor, you have to believe that you are one of the best, right? So my mindset, and it's not just to be cocky or whatever, but I can't sit there and think of myself lesser than anybody, whether it's the Briscoes or Jay Lethal or Matt Taven, or anybody who's on that roster. I have to believe, like, hey, I belong here. I'm one of the best in the world. I deserve to be here. Because if you don't have that mentality, you're just going to get eaten up. But there are times where you step in the ring with people, and you just know. Yeah. They're operating on a different level. Yep. And every time we wrestled them, I was just like, I could wrestle for 100 more years, and I'm never going to be as good or as smart as these guys are. And their cardio was. And the funny thing about Jay was, he'd be puffing a cigarette out the back door, and like, oh, music's hitting. put the cigarette out real quick, and then you get in the ring and you're thinking like, oh, this guy's gonna be huffing and puffing.
Yeah.
And
Nope.
their motors are just insane. So we wrestled him in Lowell for the tag titles. And, we lost at the end of the match. Usually, we did the beer toast afterwards. And usually it was me who went and got the cooler. So Bruiser comes up. He's like, hey, you going to get the cooler? I'm like, I need a minute. Because I just done the whole finishing sequence. And that match, was 10 or 12 minutes. And we just sprinted the thing. And it was like, but they were, Mark still is, obviously. But the Briscoes as a team were just next level. They kind of had the T-shirts, top 5 dead or alive, and I believe that they deserve to be on TV a long time ago.
Oh, no doubt.
Jay more than amended, for speaking the words that he spoke.
Right.
And if you knew Jay for a second, you'd know that's not hate. There's no hate in his heart.
Right.
I've never felt more welcomed by people in my life. And it sucks that he's no longer with us, but man, did I enjoy the hell out of being in the ring with him and definitely hanging out afterwards and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what people don't know about that Ring of Honor crew. We were tight, man.
Right.
Like if one of us was partying, everybody was partying.
Yeah.
And we didn't know. We didn't know it was going to be the last night. And it never was the same after the pandemic. But we were in St. Louis that same night, and everybody was in the hotel lobby, and we were just partying, drinking beers.
Yeah.
We were watching Ring of Honor on TV, eating pizza. It was so amazing. I mean, and with that Ring of Honor crew, it wasn't like the wrestlers hung out and then it was everybody. Everybody was welcome.
Cool.
If there was a party going on, everybody was invited.
Right.
And we didn't know, and maybe it's prophetic, but we didn't know it was gonna be the last time we really were ever able to do that as like a group. And then the pandemic hit, and then obviously things changed. And, But great. Yeah, the greatest time of my career.
Great guys. I met them when I met them when Mark wasn't even 18 years old. He was 17 in 2002.
They are just so down to earth. I mean, I went to his funeral. Like just witnessing what I witnessed was just like life changing for me, because I think his family were like consoling all of us, and they were just so like held it together, and they were just so understanding of, and just had this conviction in their beliefs. And it was truly amazing. Here's these people who are just, I can't imagine their grief.
Right.
Because my own grief was pretty enormous.
Right.
And here they are, I remember his dad giving me a hug, and I was just like thanking me for coming. I'm just like, these are the most
Papa Briscoe.
They are the most like strong-willed, good, down-to-earth, wholesome people. And I'm so glad that Mark is getting the opportunity to shine.
Yeah, me too.
And he's making his brother proud, and miss those guys.
Last time I saw him, it was at a big time wrestling show.
Yeah.
And we went over to get pictures, me and Dave Forney, to get pictures with him, right? And Jay's looking at me. And I'm like, you don't remember me? He goes, you made me a sandwich. And then Mark, you made me a sandwich too. It's hilarious, but it was really cool to at least have them recognize me. It was cool.
Oh, yeah, they were. I mean,
Good dudes.
it's not a put on. They are they are unapologetically themselves. And that's just something that's so rare in this world.
Right.
And you just couldn't help but gravitate towards them.
All right. Not to get more morbid, but I wanted to bring up Dan Maratti. You wrestled for MWF quite a bit.
Yeah, that was such a shock. And look, Dan's a controversial figure, and he would be if he was still here, he'd be the first to tell you that. He owned it like nobody owned it. But if Dan liked you, he liked you, and he took care of you. If it wasn't for Dan, I would have never been in the ring with, Bushwhacker Luke, Hardcore Holly, Abyss. I got managed by Paul Bearer.
Right.
I'm trying to think of, a countless number of names. Dan's hooked me up with like tickets and stuff before to take my kids. He was always very good to me.
Yeah.
The Boogeyman I wrestled.
Nice.
I was just so shocked. And I was booked for, I think he had it was 80s Mania or something like that. And I had talked to him maybe a few weeks before. We firmed up the booking. And then somebody, told me he passed. And I think it was Rich Palladino. And I was just like, I couldn't believe it because he's somebody who gave me so many opportunities.
He's a good guy. He was a very nice guy to me, too.
He was somebody, again, Dan was somebody who he definitely rubbed people the wrong way. He definitely butted heads with people. So he wasn't meh on anybody, right? There was no middle ground. I love this person, I hate this person. That's the way Dan was.
And he loved wrestling.
Yeah,
man.
he did. And he was passionate. It might have been a little misguided at times, but he was passionate. But I, again, you always remember, and that'd be my advice to anybody in any walk of life, no matter where you come from, always remember the people that helped you, looked out for you.
Yep. All right. Well, let's get, we got about 9 minutes. Let's play the name game. Bring
All
up some
right.
guys. This kid, I like him a lot. He's fairly young, too. BRG. I know you wrestled him.
Yeah, I love BRG. He's doing great stuff in MLW. I see they're doing like a Horseman sort of revival there. He's somebody who, it's funny, right? I feel like I'm like the Grand Poobah now of New England. I'm one of the old guys.
Yeah.
But he's a guy who checks in with me, because he knows some of the things I've gone through. And I think he is supremely talented and so young. Like, got the whole world in front of him.
Absolutely.
He's cutting his teeth. He's getting that TV experience at MLW. And I'll bet you in the next few years he gets a chance with
That'd be great.
WWE, AEW, place like that.
Nice. All right. How about on the Miracle Generation? I know you wrestled
Yeah.
Kylon King.
I did, yeah.
Did you have you wrestled?
I've never wrestled
Dustin?
Dustin.
No?
but
They're
are
both really good, man.
So they're good. They're young. They're getting out there, and for them, I hope they just continue that learning process and just keep refining their skills and getting better and getting in better shape. Kylon, I feel like he's a young guy. But he's got these big broad shoulders.
Yeah.
I'm like, when this kid really starts to get a little older, he's gonna be a big kid. But
Great team.
Yeah, and they've had so many just great matches. The one that really sticks out to me was them and the Grizzled Young Vets.
Oh yeah.
At Restival. And
Yeah.
it was just a phenomenal match.
How about Mike Grassa? You wrestled him at Proving Ground.
Yeah.
I like his look.
Yeah.
How he comes out with the mask and everything. It's real. I like the kid.
I like Grassa too, and I've wrestled him a number of times now over the years. He designed a set of gear for me even.
Nice.
The one thing with Mike is, I would love to see Mike go all in.
Right.
Because I think he's supremely talented.
Yeah.
I think he's super creative. He has a really creative mind, and honestly, I've never sat down and had a conversation of like what his goals are in wrestling and stuff. But I feel like if Mike really went all in with it,
Yeah.
I think you'd see him all over the place.
Nice. Very talented kid. How about a guy that I became friends with, Colt Cabana?
Colt Cabana. So it's funny. When I first started Ring of Honor, I was not so sure about Colt Cabana, because he has that very dry sense of humor, and I won't say he's not standoffish, but like it's hard to But then I think it was like we talked baseball or something, and that was it. And then I think we went like thrifting one time in like San Antonio together.
Nice.
Colt's tried to help me, get bookings and stuff with AEW. Great guy. I think a pioneer for. He's never going to get the credit that he deserves, especially when you think of like CM Punk is obviously going to be the more famous, and will probably always do whatever he can to crap all over his name.
Yeah.
But Colt was the first guy out there doing the podcast and selling the merch.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, Colt is a pioneer.
Isn't he the owner of Pro Wrestling Tees?
He's in part of it. Yeah. So he's all of us who have been able to have success with the merchandising and things like that on the independent level. He's one of the first guys I can really think of who made a living on the independents. Colt is somebody who is he's never going to get the credit he deserves, but he is somebody who is he is so influential in what independent wrestling is today.
Absolutely. And like I said, a great guy. How about Jay Lethal? One of the best wrestlers in the world, and I can't believe how they use him on AEW, honestly.
Yeah. The match that escaped me, Ring of Honor, that was the one I really wanted.
Yeah.
I didn't politic for a lot in Ring of Honor. I was a good boy. I kept to myself.
Yeah.
I openly politic to get a match with Jay Lethal, especially when I was doing the pure stuff. And it's funny, like it was supposed to be like a 6-man tag for TV. Everybody was hurt except me and this guy Joe Keys. And so they decided to do a singles match. And then Delirious just goes off the cuff. He's like, we should make it a pure rules match. I go, yeah, let's make it a pure rules match. He's like, you'll do it? I was like, yeah. So during it, Jay Lethal just sort of runs out during the match.
Yeah.
Unbeknownst to any of us.
Yeah.
So I went right at him. And we get to the back, and Todd Sinclair's like, you're clever. And I go, what do you mean? And he goes, you shot your own angle there with Jay Lethal. He's like, that was very smart. So we did a promo together.
Yeah.
And it would have built to that. And Jay really helped me develop kind of what I was trying to go for with the pure stuff. And also, some people there definitely took it like I was making fun of the division, which my character was, but I took it very seriously.
Right.
But my character absolutely was looking down his nose. But he was just kind of like, why do you, who cares? You're doing a great job. He's like, be you, be confident.
Right.
And he's like, I'll have your back if anybody has a problem with it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's a great guy, stand-up guy. The match that escaped me, though.
Yeah. He got free training,
Oh, really?
Down at Jersey
That's
Pro,
funny.
he got in the ring and they said who the best person's going to get free training.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we did with Sasha Banks at Chaotic, too.
Oh, that's right. Yes, that's true. All right. How about, I know you wrestled him, Max the Impaler.
Yeah, Max the Impaler.
I was there when you wrestled her at Beyond, and I want to say Somerville. Did you wrestle her in Somerville, or was it Worcester?
I wrestled Max in Somerville.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and they are really standing out now. I think Max was the NWA television champion, which when you think of the history of the NWA and traditional,
right?
Max is just breaking barriers, going to Japan.
Nice.
We beat the hell out of each other.
She's tough.
Yeah. Max is a tough cookie, and hopefully we'll cross paths again someday. But I'm really happy to see that they're out there doing their thing. And
I'd like to see her versus Davey In. That would be an incredible match. Drew Cadero.
Yeah.
Make that happen. All right. How about, got to bring him up, Carmelo Hayes.
So talented. Finally, he's another one. And I didn't quite remember this, but apparently he used to be part of my travel crew down to Connecticut with Kevin Quinn and Cam Zagami.
Oh, for the NEW shows.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think at one point, and maybe it was when I was Booker of Chaotic, I think I just got real frustrated with him. And I said, if you ever take this seriously, the sky's the limit, but it's all on you. Are you ever going to stop screwing around? And he told me, he's like, that had an impact on me. He's like, I remember that.
That's awesome.
And he thanked me for it. But I always saw a lot in Christian. Nobody can predict the type of success he's having now, right? But that just goes to show you how just naturally gifted he is. Everything he does looks easy. Yeah. And I'm so happy for him.
Nice. All right, how about Anthony Green, who's been killing it in Japan? I don't know if he's in Japan now, but...
I can't keep track of it anymore. AG is somebody who is just perseverance, right? I never, and he knows this. When I first met AG, I would never thought he would get a chance in WWE.
Right.
I would never thought he was doing the things, but he didn't care. He never takes no for an answer. Works hard at his craft. He's always trying to reinvent himself, recreate himself. He lives, eats, breathes professional wrestling 24/7. He might know the most about wrestling of any person I've ever met in my life.
No doubt.
I'm just so happy for him. I love AG. This younger generation, it really holds a special place with him because not only do they treat me with obviously respect and stuff, but they're just good kids who I have fun with and have become friends.
Right. And New England is in good hands with the young.
Yeah. They don't treat me like I'm an old guy, which is nice.
There you go. Right. All right. Well, I got a minute left. I would not be. It wouldn't be right if I didn't bring up Big Woody. Big Woody.
To explain, the impact that he had on my career, I was very bitter when I went to APW, and I had some falling out with Chaotic. And Big Woody was the one who made me love wrestling again. He showed me that it could be fun again.
Right.
He showed me that we don't have to take things so seriously, and we can have fun. And I did. And I miss Big Woody. I miss the talks about the socks.
Oh, yeah.
Complaining about the socks. I miss giving him crap about the Patriots. I remember at a UFO show one time, I sprung it on him very last second, and he had Pat's hat on. And I said, well, you better take that thing off if you're coming out with me. And he goes, what do you mean? And I said, you're managing me tonight, but you're not wearing that hat. And he went, I think he got a Bruins hat.
That's awesome.
But I miss him, and he, I hope he knows. I hope when he passed, he knew how much he helped me.
Nice. I've talked a lot of boxing with Big Woody. He was a huge boxing fan.
Yeah.
Brian, thank you so much for coming on, my friend.
Anytime.
Thank you. Guys, we're out. Peace. Hi, guys. I hope you're enjoying the show. Listen, I could use a little help to grow my YouTube channel. So if you could please like, share, and subscribe. That's most importantly, subscribe. Send me a direct message, and I'll give you a shout out here on the show. My YouTube channel is real simple. It's just my name, Leo Connors. Thanks in advance. Peace.